Oh. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of And Action. I am Ricky Borba, and tonight we are going to have a fun talk. Got a chance to talk to him for a few minutes before we went live. He's a fun guy. He's a bright guy. He's an energetic guy. Mr. James Weston, stunt driver, precision driver, stuntman extraordinaire. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. How you doing?
We are doing good, James. We are doing good. I do a lot of research for these shows, and the first thing I noticed, even though your bio says Queens, New York, and I heard that accent, you've got a 415 area code. And now I find out you're living in the Valley. So kind of take me how you went from Queens, New York to where you're at now in the Valley.
Transferred to California from another job. Was living in Oakland, San Leandro. When I first got out here, met my beautiful wife, and we decided to move to Manteca. We like the town, we like the feel, and been happy here ever since.
That's great. My mom, my grandmother, my mom used to live there. My grandmother lives there. My whole family lives in Manteca. I love it. I drive from Sacramento to Manteca on the 99 about twice a month. I know that drive by like the back of my hand. So It's nice to know you're there too. So that's a fun kind of teaser first question. But my first real question is a question that I'm very interested in is, at what point in your life did you decide that you want to put yourself in harm's way for a living? Because that's not something that people like me think about wanting to do. But when did you decide that?
Well, I work another job where that's kind of dangerous too, and I've been on that particular job in that industry for over 30 years. I'm not going to mention the job because they're not paying me to mention it. So
okay.
But
you drive an ice cream truck. We'll just leave it at that. You drive an ice cream truck.
There you go.
Yeah.
And but I just quite by accident fell into the entertainment industry. When I came out here, I actually saw a news story, and it said, "How would you like to be in the movies?" And I didn't believe it. I called the telephone number, and it turns out they didn't have enough people to work the background scenes in a basketball game in the Disney remake of Flubber starring Robin Williams. And
okay,
that's how it started. And now I'm in over 40 movie and television productions, doing various jobs. So
your IMDb page is pretty extensive. You've got, and we're going to get to all this. I don't want to jump ahead too far, but you've got just a very wide range of work, from stunt to driving to acting. We talked before this went live. We're going to get into that you want to start producing. So you've done a lot in the film industry, but what about stunts drew you in? What about that particularly did you say, yeah, this is it for me?
Well, I guess at an early age, my love of movie, my love of film, especially with my dad and us watching movies together. And I've always loved action movies. And I guess when I pursue certain roles, the action aspect of it, the action movies, is what piques my interest. So it's in this way, I guess I'm a little like Michael Bay. I don't like static too much, standing still. I always like to constantly keep moving, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's what drew me to action movies, and that's what I love doing. And I'm not going to turn down a job, because the ultimate goal is to, whether it's stunts or acting, just try and get a contract in one of those categories.
Yeah.
And I pursue that more and more. But if I'm not successful in getting a contract in one of those two roles and one of those two aspects, any way I can get on set, I'll do, as far as the different jobs that they do have on set. And that also comes into networking and how you get your name out there and how people get to know you. Because if you're not on set, because there are a lot of people that say, well, I don't want to do that job. I don't want to get, okay, if you don't want to do that job, you're not going to get on set. How do you network to get more jobs?
Right. Sure.
So.
I'll tell you this, on the film I directed, The Talking Tree, in 2018, the PAs are PAs that I want to see grow and have different jobs and reach, the higher level jobs, because I saw their passion and desire. But
right.
I will take those people with. They say when you go, you bring 5 people with you. I'll take all those people with me, whatever film I do, because of their work ethic, and maybe that wasn't their passion, but their attitude on set. We talk about this on this show a lot. The attitude on set that you have, people remember, whether it's the producer or the director. So if you do your job and have a good attitude, it doesn't matter what job you're doing, people are going to notice it. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, 100%. If you look at a lot of the famous, say, producers, even actors, but a lot of people in the film industry that have excelled into positions that they're in now, whether they be stunt coordinators, costumes, makeup, a lot of times, and producers, a lot of times, a lot of them didn't start off in those areas. They started off in other areas and worked their way into those areas. An analogy I've used time and time again is the entertainment industry, whether it be movies, television, and now streaming, is like a highway. And the highway has many lanes and it has many on-ramps to get onto the highway. So however you get on the highway, that's up to you. Whatever you want to pursue, whether it's a degree, because like a lot of people that go to college, they major in something, but that's not what they wind up doing for a living.
Right.
Thing. A lot of people start off working in the mailrooms of agencies like CAA, William Morris Endeavor, UTA. They start off in the mailroom to learn the business from the ground up, and then where they go from there is up to them. They may want to pursue writing, they may want to pursue directing, they may want to pursue producing or whatever.
Yeah.
So
that's a great analogy. I love that. Get on the freeway and start driving towards your goal. I love that. I'm all about goals and driving metaphorically toward a goal. I looked at your IMDb. I'm sure not everything's listed, but have you personally had some of those go-getter jobs? Go get the coffee, go sharpen the pencils. Have you had to do some of that to get where you're going?
No, I have not. I've been pretty much the architect in my own career, and with that, this is what I mean. I choose to work midnight shift. Okay, that's my choice. And one of the because, like I said, I do have a lot of seniority on the other job, but I choose to stay on midnight shift. The reason for that is most of the films that are shot during the day. Now, there have been a lot of times where I have worked 8 hours all night, gotten in my car and reported to set and spent another anywhere between 8 to 12 to 8 to 16 hours on set.
Wow.
And sometimes having to go back to the other job. I remember one time I was so tired. I left the set. I reported I had worked 8 hours on my first job, went to set, worked on the movie for I think it was 14 hours, and reported back to work, pulled into the parking lot. I'm looking at my watch so I can make the time clock. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make the time clock, whatever, Went inside, worked 8 hours, came outside to go back home. As I approach my car, I go to pull out my keys. I can't find my keys. My car had been running for 8 hours in the parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily,
Wow.
I had a full tank of fuel. So I didn't damage the catalytic converter or anything like that, whatever. But that's how tired I was.
Oh my gosh! Wow, and you look young. So none of this stuff is wearing on your body. Thing you must do all the. Let's get into that a little bit. The stunts that you do probably requires that you take very good care of yourself. Vitamins, working out, sleep. Maybe not sleep, but based on what.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got to be sharp, right? I mean, my
Yes.
next question is. I'm sure every stunt coordinator and director on set says this is extremely safe, and I'm sure it is. However, there is an element of danger and to every stunt, every precision driving you do. So talk a little bit about that, and also keeping your body in tip-top shape mentally and physically so that you can do this stuff.
Okay. It's your personal responsibility to keep yourself in shape. Precision driving can be dangerous. Precision driving is not stunts.
Okay.
I have done stunts. I have not done stunt driving, but I've worked with stunt drivers and stunt coordinators. As a matter of fact, the last stunt coordinator job I had was in the comedy Jexy.
Okay.
And that stunt coordinator was also a stunt coordinator in a lot of Marvel movies. And no one of them was Black Panther. And I hope to get to work with him again. That's Andy Gill.
Okay.
Precision driving is different. You may work with stunt people based on what their stunt is. They may be driving in and out of traffic, and depending on how dangerous it is, you have to maintain a certain pattern, a certain speed, so they can cut in and out of you, that sort of thing. If it's really dangerous, they will get another group of stunt people to do that.
I see.
It may just be that the director wants to see a certain driving pattern, a certain number of cars in a certain scene, and you have to drive when they make the shot, and then you go back to your original position. So you may be driving in reverse, and it could be anywhere from 10 to 20 of you, that sort of thing.
Wow.
So it's precision driving is not stunts. And let me say this while we're talking about it. The stunt community needs to get their due and should have an Oscar for stunt coordinators and maybe stunt ensemble teams, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Screen Actors Guild has it. I don't know why the Oscars don't have it. There should be Oscar for casting directors. I think there is one for costumes, but why isn't there one for stunts, stunt players, stunt coordinators?
Sure.
You know, because these people are putting their lives on the line, and they're not getting recognized for it by the Academy.
I agree with you 100%. 100%. So let me ask you this. I remember a long time ago. Well, I shouldn't say that. She's going to get mad at me. My sister at one point in her life dated a Blue Angel. And that guy, I remember, was on a different level mentally and physically in terms of his perception and what he's able to do. Because, Blue Angels are nanoseconds from crashing and stuff like that. So with that said, do you find that stunt people and precision drivers are also on that same kind of level in terms of, like, maybe you guys aren't the jokesters on set, maybe you are, but like there's got to be a level of seriousness to be taken to this, or else people are going to get hurt.
There's always a level of, there may be a little joking on set, but with stunt people and precision and stuff like that. But when it comes to doing the job, everyone's professional. Because if you're not professional, they will politely ask you to leave.
Yeah.
And you will not get called back. You will develop a bad name for yourself. And that's one of the things later on, advice that I have for people who are looking to break into the industry, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. And it's funny you mentioned the Blue Angels, because I worked with them too.
Oh, and wow.
I think on the IMDb page, there's a picture with me with the Blue Angels, and actually with one of my stunt coordinators, Kevin Scott, when I worked with him when we were doing the television series for NBC called Trauma.
Okay.
And that was produced. One of the producers on that was Peter Berg.
Oh, wow.
But Kevin has done extensive stunt work. A good guy. Some of the stunt coordinators that I worked with, that great people. I mentioned Andy Gill, Kevin Scott, Kenny Bates, Rocky Capella here in the Bay Area,
Oh, wow.
Tony Vella here in the Bay Area. And anytime those guys call and ask me if I'm available, if I am, I'll give it my all and try and make them look good. And because you mentioned something before, when people look to get into, say, movies, television, and stuff like that, one of the hardest things to do is to break in.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get the opportunity, that's your chance to shine, not show off, but shine. And by that, I mean, when you're ready to go, when the stunt coordinator, the director, the production assistant come around, your ears need to perk up. You should be paying attention and be aware of your surroundings to begin with. But one of the things that I try and tell people that are new to the set or new to the business, they're excited about being there, so they're chattering and talking and stuff like that. But when one person starts chattering and whispering, if you sit in one of the holding areas alone and it's completely quiet, once one person starts talking, another person starts talking, and another person starts talking, and that's where you get that murmur.
Yep.
So what happens is a lot of times they're talking, they're excited about being there, so forth, so on. So then a production assistant comes in, or the second AD comes in, or something like that, and they start giving directions, but the people way over in the back, they can't hear because they're talking. Yep. Now, when these PAs and directors and everyone have this earpiece in their ear for 8 hours a day or more, and they're getting yelled at, and you're the person that's not listening, and you have to ask them 2 or 3 times, what did they say? What did they say? Yeah. That's because you're not listening. That's not going to bode well for you as far as getting called back or whatever, because you're going to develop the wrong reputation for yourself as someone who doesn't listen.
That's right.
You want to be the solution. You don't want to be the problem.
That's great.
Another assistant director in the Bay Area, John Morse, great guy, very professional.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good guy to know. He does some good stuff. There's so many people. Jason Halley, second AD. Lamar. Lamar, you're going to kill me. I forgot your last name, buddy. But well,
let me ask you this, James. Let me ask you this.
Yeah,
I've directed 2 sub $1 million budget films now. So there's set etiquette on those films. Sacramento and most of the people watching is from the Sacramento area, Bay Area. So these are people who are wanting to break in, as you were talking about. We are going to talk about that in a little bit. But talk about set etiquette as a whole on a bigger film. What is expected of extras? Because a lot of people who watch the show are wanting to get into acting. What is the etiquette that's expected on a big set? Like, I'll just say it. Your first film that you broke into as a stunt person was a little-known franchise called The Matrix. So, what kind of etiquette is on that set? Then we'll talk about those films as well.
I'm sorry. I was precision driving. That was not stunts.
Okay, I'm sorry. I meant to say precision driving. Yes.
Okay. But stunts, I think the first one was
I'll look at your IMDb. I've got it open.
It might have been the Hulk, but it might have been something else. But set etiquette basically is do what you're told. Don't cause trouble. Don't be the loudest person. Don't be loud at all. You're there to do a job. How would you act on a job? Like I said, people get excited because of the work, and it doesn't mean that you act any less professional. You should be even more professional, because when you're working, if it's a lot of the work is outdoors, so it's harder to hear people. So you should be even more professional.
Yeah.
And based on what you're doing and what's going on around you, on certain sets, you don't know who you're going to be surrounded by, or something could be going on behind you or behind the scenes and you don't even know about it. So you have to have your wits about you. You never know what's going to happen, especially if you're outside. And because see, a lot of times you might be filming outside and you still have regular pedestrians walking around you, and you have to be protective. You have to be protective of yourself. Hopefully you are of your fellow castmates and fellow actors and crew there. Who's going to come up on the street and address you, or how they're going to address you. They could be upset that you're there because now they consider you imposing on their day.
Right.
So you have to take all that into account. Just be professional.
Sure. Yeah, I noticed on the 2 films that I worked on, thankfully everybody was professional. Everybody stayed in their lane. But I think on every set, and especially as your sets get bigger and you have more cast and more crew, there is that desire to have that murmur. Wow, I can't believe we're on this film and there's that guy. He just, oh my gosh, I've seen.
Yeah.
But you have to maintain. I use the word decorum. It's probably not the word that we should use, but maintain decorum and act. Barry Sanders played for the Lions. He scored 1,000 touchdowns. He was the rushing leader. And his thing was, when I score a touchdown, I'm not going to spike it because I want to act like I've been there. Just act like you've been there before. Right. If you're getting starry-eyed and if you're bugging actors and bugging directors on set like that, you're probably not going to get called back. So that's really advice.
Well, and see, the thing is, basically you don't approach an actor.
Yeah.
There's certain things or certain scenes that you may share with an actor, but they've got other things to worry about. Now, if they strike up a conversation with you, that's different because you don't want to be rude.
Yeah.
So you have to, what's the saying? You have to feel the room, so to speak, or whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
But the more you work, the more you develop that sense. You can tell when an actor or actress, and I say actor, I'm including women and men.
Sure.
You can tell when they don't want to be bothered. First of all, they have to memorize their lines. And a lot of times that's what they're doing. They're going over their lines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If they're not engaging you, leave them alone.
Right.
Sometimes they may want something to break up the monotony and stuff like that, but they're there to do their job and you're there to do your job.
Yeah.
And they're 2 different jobs. Most of them. Unless you're sharing a scene and some lines with them, that's different.
Well, I'll say this. Even with that, it's funny to me, and it's not funny at all. One of my funniest memories from The Talking Tree was Doug Hutchison, who's been in Lost and The Green Mile and X-Files. He's like one of America's greatest actors. Mm-hmm. He's in this scene with a Sacramento actor. This actor has been in nothing ever, right? He's like, it's a day role. No offense to day players. No offense at all. But, as a director, you have your headphones on, you sit at your monitor, and you're watching and stuff like that. I yell cut. I turn and I start talking to the producer, and all of a sudden, because I can still hear the actors' mics, I'm hearing this Sacramento actor telling Doug how he should act and how he should deliver his lines. And I flip my headphones off, and I make a beeline over there, and I said, "Hey, sir, I'm sure you intended well, but I don't need you to give Doug any acting tips, and I certainly don't need you to tell him how I want the lines delivered in the scene." So it's funny you mentioned that because I think sometimes people's intentions are good, but there's things you do and you don't do on a set. So
there's only one director in this movie, sir, and
That's right. Yeah. So James, do you prefer stunts then or precision driving, and why?
I prefer stunts because it elevates my performance.
Okay.
If I'm doing stunts, I'm getting a contract, and that's just the business of the business.
Yeah.
When I'm doing precision, I may or may not get a contract.
Okay.
And my goal is to get either a stunt contract or an acting contract and to expand my experience and improve upon my skill. Who's a stunt player? It's like you mentioned, when it comes to stunts, right? You go with who you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you as a director, you're doing another movie, the people that had the attitude, that got the job done and stuff like that, you're choosing the people that you know.
Yeah.
So what happens here in the Bay Area is a lot of films come here from, say, LA or New York or whatever, to get the atmosphere.
Okay.
The Golden Gate Bridge, the Bay Bridge,
Yeah.
Coit Tower, the Transamerica Building, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they want to get the flavor of the street, depending on, you know, what was the other Keanu movie I worked on? Always Be My Maybe with Ali Wong.
Okay.
On Netflix, and he played her love interest. A lot of that was done in Chinatown.
Okay.
You know, so certain areas they want to get that flavor from the script, that sort of thing. So
Sure.
they'll come here to do those shots, but then they may go to, say, either Georgia, Atlanta, or LA or something like that to finish up doing the. So.
Yeah.
So when a stunt team is coming here, it's usually cast out of New York, Atlanta, or LA, and they have their own stunt teams that the stunt coordinator has worked with. So he's picking or she's picking their people as a stunt coordinator. They may hire a few people locally here in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on how many they hire, you may or you may not get on. You never know.
Yeah. True. True.
And you know, it's like any other business, but you know, when it comes to acting or stunts, it's highly competitive because the supply vastly outnumbers the demand.
Wow.
You know,
That's
like
good to know.
there's only so many movies being made at any one time in any city.
Yeah.
And you may have an abundance of stunt players, actors, you know, whatever, and you're trying to get into that funnel to be able to work on that project.
Yep. So you mentioned Keanu Reeves. I mentioned the Matrix series. It's fascinating to me going through my research on you. According to IMDb, you went from Flubber to precision driving for the Matrix Reloaded. So, A, I want to know how that happened. But B, before you answer that, I in my mind for the last 5 days, I've been thinking, I have 5 children. I would almost bet all 5 of my kids that the precision driving you did was on the Alameda section where they did the scenes with the twins. Was that, am I right? Is that the precision driving?
The Ghost twins with the dreadlocks?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was it.
Okay, so you're on the freeway.
Yeah. I was wanting to drive. And as a matter of fact, a number of those people that were precision drivers are good friends of mine to this day, where if I'm asked to do precision driving, coordinating, I go to those people because they're part of my team.
Okay.
And
Got it.
those are the people that I will call first. And that's when I was first starting, and they pulled me, or took me under their wing, so to speak, and advised me about, you know, the industry and what to look for, what to look out for, so forth and so on. And as a matter of fact, they are working on a project right now. Unfortunately, I'm not able to work with them. And it's another Marvel movie.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll look out for that. We'll bring you back. You can talk about it at some point. So James, how did you go from Flubber, which Robin Williams, it's Disney, I get it. It's not like you were doing like, you know, Shakespeare in the Park. But how did you go from Flubber to the Matrix series?
You know what it was? Basically, being the architect of my career, so to speak, one of the things I did was I chose to stay on midnight shift, which freed me up for the stuff being done on day shift. So
you're living in the Bay Area, number one, then, right?
Right.
I'm gathering. Okay.
Right. But I have flown to a number of cities on a number of projects. Transformers: Dark of the Moon. That was 5 cities, different cities I had to go to.
Wow.
But I just made myself available for these projects when they needed people. And the way I was the architect of what I decided to work on, if I knew the title, like let's say Matrix, okay?
Yeah.
No one knew about the first Matrix until it became a hit.
That's right.
So when the second and third Matrix came along, because they filmed them at the same time.
Yeah.
I was praying that I would get into that project.
Yeah.
So I applied for it. Now, I've done other driving in my other career, which helped set me up for Matrix Reloaded.
Okay. Okay.
I look at big budget stuff because I like being around big budget films. That doesn't mean I don't do independent films, because I do those too.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
But the thing is, if you decide, like I did, that I wanted to make a go of this, and like I said, how competition is when casting directors or directors or stunt coordinators, whatever, look at your resume. They may be getting hundreds of or dozens or hundreds of resumes, if not thousands, because there are people that we were told when they heard about Matrix Reloaded, they wanted to come over from London to do it for free.
Sure.
So people are constantly tugging at them to get into their project. So my whole thing is, if someone looks at my resume, and I made a conscious effort to do this early on, I want them to see big budget movies.
There you go. Famous
Directors. So just by looking at that and looking at the role that I have, whether it be precision, whether it be stunts, or whether it be, whatever, and they say, oh, he's used to working on a big budget movie, so he knows his way around, as opposed to someone who may not have that experience. Because if you look at my resume, most of the stuff is big budget.
Yeah.
I've been blessed enough to be part of 4 franchises, being Star Trek, Matrix, Transformers, and a number of Marvel movies.
Right.
Okay. So God bless me. I try to bless other people.
There you go, buddy.
If they want my advice.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to know it all. I'm still learning myself. Every day is a learning experience. I just appreciate the work. I don't want to be famous. I just want to be working.
There you go. So I feel like once a week, we do the show once a week, and I feel like once a week on the show, I say what I'm about to say, and that is, I am not knocking local filmmakers at all whatsoever, because we need them. I love that situation. I love that world. But here's, like you talking about crafting your career. I'm 42, and I remember solidly about a decade ago, I decided I'm not going to do any more Bay Area, Sacramento, local productions that are not elevating me from, how I call it, glory to glory, from the next level to the next level. Mm-hmm. I want to work, like you said, I want to work with top-notch actors. I want to work with the best lighting, grips, camera people in the area. And so I stopped doing those smaller productions for a long time. And you want to talk about patience. You see your friends posting online and on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, hey, I'm on this shoot and doing this. And you're like, oh, I want to be a part of that. But at the same time, when people look at my resume, I want them to see that I've worked with the Doug Hutchisons, the Sally Kirklands, the Robert Lasardos, the Daniel Roebucks. I want them to see that Ricky Borba crafted a career that wanted and demanded more of himself than most normal people that I know that I hang around with. So kudos to you for doing the same thing, wanting to get in those bigger budgets, because you can get, and I don't want to use the word stuck, but you can get used to doing those smaller budget films that you're in Sacramento getting paid $50 to work for a week, and you don't know the difference. And now that I've been on these other films and they've been in theaters, and my film's coming out on streaming in 4 days, honk, a little self-promotion. Yeah, but it's exciting. It's exciting, and you want to go from glory to glory. And so It does take patience. It does take perseverance, and it takes a matter of believing, and not arrogantly, but believing that you are talented and anointed. I use the word anointed, that you're anointed to do what you've been put on earth to do, and that's the road I've been going on, and it sounds like that's the road you're on too.
Well, I try, and I support local filmmakers too. The thing is, by learning the business of making movies, when you're a SAG actor, you're only supposed to work SAG movies.
Right.
Now, there are exceptions to that where you can work local movies, things like that. But the thing is, as an actor, as a director, the opportunities have to be there for you to get to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And those lines aren't entirely clear.
Right.
The DGA, the Directors Guild, they have certain things that you have to accomplish, that you have to work on in order to get to the next level. Same with producers, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the opportunity may not always be there.
Yeah.
But as you elevate, you can pull the people that you've worked with locally to your next project and help them along. And, hopefully everyone does that.
Yeah.
But in reality, they don't,
True. Well, James, I don't know if you've noticed.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, see, now you have streaming.
Yes.
And all these projects that were not greenlit for other studios, like say major studios, now you can just stream to Netflix, to Amazon, to Hulu. And that's how you can gain recognition.
Mm-hmm.
And then that can take you to the next level too. I mean, you may not have to rent out a $2,000 or $5,000 camera for like 2 weeks, a month, or whatever. You can shoot the movie with your iPhone.
There, you really can. The power that's in these things nowadays is unbelievable. 4K, slow-mo, the audio's great. All right, so I don't know if you've noticed, but behind me, a couple familiar people talking about JJ, and you've worked with George. We're going to talk about that. But I want to park and land on your experience on Star Trek, and then I want to talk about Red Tails. But, my ultimate goal in life is to direct a Star Wars film or a Star Wars series on Disney+. I am absolutely in love with The Mandalorian. I think it's the best Star Wars since the original trilogy. I can't wait for we're a week out, I think, right now, out from the
30th, I think.
Yes. But talk about working with JJ, talk about working with George, and talk about those two iconic universes, the Star Trek universe and the Star Wars universe. I'm just going to let you go because I'm as eager to listen to your answer as I'm sure everybody else is.
I can't even I can't even remember entirely how I got the role. Oh, I think what it was I think I was listed on Actors Access.
Okay.
And they were looking for someone to play, a number of people play Klingons.
Yes.
I think that's how it happened. And I applied for it and I got the green light and I went to LA and I was in Paramount Studios and and get, the lines that they had us to get makeup in and that sort of thing. And it was just, I was blown away for the simple reason that Star Trek and Star Wars have influenced cultures worldwide.
Absolutely.
Have brought people together and it's interesting how a lot of critics poo-poo on science fiction, but a lot of the biggest movies out have been science fiction, science fantasy, that sort of thing,
Yes. Yeah.
And they have action. They have action and they have drama,
Yeah. Yeah.
So J.J. Abrams, I've been a fan of his since Lost, Alias, Mission Impossible 3, and to see him direct and so forth and so on. And, Yeah, I was kind of bummed out because my scene got deleted.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So what is that like? What is that like to work on an iconic film with a director that you, I won't say idolize, but, very fond of, and then you do your scenes and then they're cut. And then I'm asking this for the actors here that are watching, that sometimes you might give a really good performance or be an integral part of a film, and then they get in editing, they're like, man, it just doesn't work for whatever reason. So I love to talk about responding well. How did you respond to that, and how do you respond well to things like that?
Well, I was bummed out, but first of all, when I do a project, I usually don't tell people that I'm doing it. I don't say anything. I don't say anything until the movie comes out. I did a project, and I was just background. It was a Woody Allen movie called Blue Jasmine, and Kate Blanchett won the Oscar for. And I was a first class passenger, so I was just doing some background stuff or whatever, and I didn't tell anybody. Okay. And then the movie came out, and a bunch of people, hey, were you in that movie? I said, yeah, I was, whatever. Yeah. So I just leave it like that. And then every once in a while, if I have a picture or something, I'll put that either on my IMDb or on my social media, that sort of thing.
Nice.
And and a lot of that also is, first of all, I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yep.
Number two, when people, whether they be my neighbors, my friends, family, my church, high progressive community church.
Hello.
It shows them that people that every day are doing this. I'm not splitting the atom. Okay.
Yeah.
The people that do it are professionals and great at their craft, stunts, costumes, makeup, directing, acting. But it's not beyond your reach. You're only limited to what you limit yourself to.
Sure.
But the thing is, no one shows people how to get into the business, how to do this, how to do that. They want to keep it like it's a big secret.
I know. It's one of the things about filmmaking. There's no roadmap, and you can go to USC and get your film degree, but there really is the how I got to direct my two films. There's I can't go tell someone to do the same thing, because there was a level of luck. There was a level of God, putting favor on me. We're talking about church. We can talk about that for a minute. There's a level of just being in the right place at the right time. It's really, really hard. So we're gonna come back to Star Wars and Star Trek, because we are not done talking about that yet. But we're gonna jump ahead a bit. One of the things
I can tell you real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So say you're driving from, like we've mentioned, the highway, right?
Yeah.
The movie business, entertainment business, whatever. If you're driving from Sacramento to San Francisco, you know how long that drive is, right? How many on-ramps are there?
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's the same thing. It's
so good.
People might have gone to director school, film school, so forth and so on, but so never. Who's that guy, David Boreanaz from SEAL Team?
Yes.
He was in Bones and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Okay.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's true, but didn't they say he used to walk dogs and that's how he got discovered or something like that?
Well, the lead in my film, The Talking Tree, George Stoltz, was having lunch with his brother outdoors, and an agent walked up to him and said, "Come be in this film." I mean, there you go.
So you never know. There is no one roadmap to get into this industry. You just never know how it's going to pan out,
That's right. Okay, so having said that, though, here's the question. Normally, I tell people to go after your dreams, pursue them with all you got. If you want to be a director, go get coffee on a set. Okay, I can't tell people who want to get into stunts and precision driving, go outside and do stunts or precision driving, because people are going to sue me because somebody's going to die. So, James, what do you tell someone who's really genuinely interested in becoming a stunt coordinator, a stunt person, or a precision driver, or a stunt driver? What is the smart way to, I won't say path, but what is the smart route to do that? Be around people who are interested. I mean,
like-minded people. A lot of the thing is, that's kind of a funny situation, because a lot of people that are into stunts are drivers, actors, gymnasts,
Okay.
things like that. And the only thing I can advise people on is get into as many productions as you can.
Yep.
Network your butt off.
Yep.
Network, network, network.
Good attitude, good attitude, good attitude.
Exactly. Don't be a complainer. Don't be a whiner. Your reputation will precede you.
Yes.
And like I said, be the solution, not the problem.
Yep.
Now, like I said, I'm no star. I'm no this. I'm no that. I get a few lucky breaks. I get called by either a stunt coordinator, second AD, casting director, you know, that sort of thing. And that's because word of mouth, my reputation for being professional, for trying to help people out or whatever. I don't kiss butt.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm not the guy that's talking when they're trying to give direction.
You're a professional, is what you're saying.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
And
so go ahead. I'm sorry. So sorry.
Well, that's basically it. Because I've been doing this for over 18 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of people never heard of me, but I just do my job, you know, go home.
There you go.
You know, I don't go to the parties or go to be seen, this, that. No, I just do the job, go home. If I can help people on the way, hey, here's what you might want to look at this. There's certain books you can read that give you good advice also. Know the business, because it is a business. If it wasn't a business and it wasn't making money, nobody would do it. That's
right. That's right. So, James, you're a fascinating guy. You do a fascinating myriad of fascinating jobs. We've got some questions from people. So we're going to pop those up on the screen right now, and we're going to let the audience ask you some questions.
Okay.
All right. So Sack Geek says, love the Venom shirt. How many Marvel movies have you been in? And I'll add that you can speak about.
Let's see. I've been in a total of over 4 movies.
Okay. All right. Over 4. Think about that answer. Yeah. Over 4.
See, some things I cannot mention because of what's called an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement.
That's
and those people that want to get into the industry, when you do, you will realize that you'll have to sign one of those on set before they will allow you to work.
That's right. And I did not sign your NDA, so I can say that you are working on a Keanu Reeves movie right now. So I can say that. I can safely say that. All right, Bex, fire off another one. James Skyberg says, hey, James, what is your most memorable filming experience and favorite film which you were involved in? That's a great question, James.
Okay, so I would have to say, and it's actually on my reel. I don't know if you guys are going to play my reel or not, but you can go to YouTube and type in James Weston II, no spaces, all one word, James Weston and the number 2.
Number 2. Okay, not I. Okay, I got it.
And there's a scene where we're in Chicago for Transformers Dark of the Moon. And I'm former Navy in the Naval Aviation Support Unit in the Navy Reserve. And I got to work thanks to SEAL team legend Harry Humphreys, his wife Catherine Humphreys, and Michael Bay. Thank you very much. Great people to know, okay? So there's a scene in Transformers Dark of the Moon where we're starting this run and special effects to set up the explosions. And I'm with current and former SEAL team guys. And they took me under their wing. And Michael Bay, ready? 5, 4, 3, 2. You can see it. And we go running down Wacker Drive and explosions are going off all around us.
Wow.
And the explosions are real. The robots aren't. So sorry.
Yep. Yeah.
But that was probably one of the most memorable to date.
Jackie, this is kind of a question I asked earlier, but it's got a different spin on it. What would you do today if you were just starting out in the industry? And I think we've kind of mentioned that, but go ahead, James.
Okay. What I would do for anyone that's just starting and interested, I would get a couple of books. One of them, I can't remember the name of it, but it shows what everyone's job kind of is, grips, electricians, best boy, costumes, stunts, producers, and it tells them what they do in the on the set in the industry. That would be one book. There's another book called The Working Actor by Mari Mari Lynn Lyn. I can't remember her last name, but it's got an orange cover.
Okay.
So I would go with those two books. Find out as much as you can about the industry, and sign up with casting agencies.
Yep.
Castingnetworks.com is a good one because they do LA, San Fran, New York, other areas. I think they do London too. I'm not sure. There's also mycastingfile.com. They're a good one. They actually got me. Actually, I went through them and got a lot of work in season 3 and 4 of 13 Reasons Why on Netflix.
Okay.
And use any of these casting agencies to get work. You don't have to have a MFA in fine arts or anything like that. That's
and
how
Casting Calls America, by the way, and Casting Calls America.
Casting Calls America. I'm sorry. How can I forget that? But go with the casting agencies. If you are not aware of one, if you're in a different city other than state other than California, whatever major city you're in, like say Louisiana, you can type in to Google casting agencies Louisiana.
Yeah.
And whatever city you're in, usually it's a major city, and then find out who the casting agencies are, register with them, and you'll get emails with if they're doing a television show, commercial, or movie in your area. You could start off like that.
There you go. All right, Steve Griffin, James, great interview. You're welcome. What about me? How was your experience on Red Tails? I was going to ask that as well because George was a part of that. I want to know how it was like working with George.
It was interesting. George was very cool. You never saw him. I saw him smile once when I was driving a Jeep. There is a character in Red Tails who they thought was killed in action, and it turned out he was a prisoner of war. In a German camp. He escaped from there. I actually drove him up towards, I think it was the last 5 to 10 minutes of the movie in a Jeep, precision driving.
There you
go. And first of all, I tried to relax on set. So after I drove him up, I'm just like, I'm not going to be behind the wheel like this or whatever. Right. I just, after he got dropped off, I just chilled out and did kind of like this, looked at it or whatever. That was Tristan Wiles. He's from, oh man, where's that show? It was a show that he was on in Michael B. Jordan in Atlanta with Wendell Pierce. What was it called? But anyway, that's who that was.
Okay.
And I had to drive a Jeep from like maybe a half mile away to a spot that he wanted me to stop on grass, and you can't see it. So George put his hands in his pockets. He went over to a carpenter's cart and he grabbed a can of spray paint, and he came over to where the Jeep was. And as he was coming in my direction, I kind of did like, ah, and he made like he was spraying me with the can or whatever. That was the only emotional outburst I saw. He was real cool. Real cool guy. And on that set was Cuba Gooding Jr., Neo, Andre Royo, Nate Parker, Michael B. Jordan.
Yep.
And it was great. It was good.
That's one of the things I love about George is you take Star Wars out of the equation, and he does such great stories. Tuskegee Airmen, Red Tails, we can go on. All right, Bill, I hope I don't.
That was a pet project of his for over 10 years, and a lot of people to this day still haven't heard of the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah.
They don't know who they are.
They should watch that, and I believe there was an HBO series about it recently as well, if I'm not mistaken. All right, Bill, I hope I'm not butchering your last name. I'm going to say Michelle. How do you go about vetting casting agencies? By the way, we've got about 4 minutes left.
Okay. Usually with casting agencies, you can look to see what their projects were. You could also check to see if there are any complaints about them, either through the Better Business Bureau or see what people are saying online, social media.
Yeah. I would also add, look at who they rep, and if you know anybody they rep, ask that person, hey, how's it like working with James Weston?
Exactly.
If he's the Yeah. So James, let me I want to ask this, and I know we don't have much time, so I would have liked more time for this answer, but to the lay person like me who's not been on a set where we do stunts, walk me through a stunt from inception to completion. What happens?
Okay. One part I'm not involved in, but basically what happens is production discusses the movie with the stunt crew, because you're going to figure out what equipment you're going to need in the script, what stunts need to be performed, how many stunt players you're going to need, what specialty stunt, if any, is needed, how many stunt players, your budget for that. By that time, I'm guessing you already have a stunt coordinator who's the one that directs the stunts and that sort of thing. And basically, what a lot of people, directors do, is they either animate it or you have a storyboard. And then that's worked out between production and the stunt coordinator. And then the stunt coordinator has his or her team, and they discuss the stunts with them, what they're going to do. Then you do a walkthrough first of the stunt. If there are any explosions or anything involved in that, special effects person is in on the meeting, that sort of thing. You do a walkthrough, how you want this, what the director envisions, what they want, so forth and so on. Then you do a couple of practice runs, and then you film it. So that's a basic, simple breakdown of it. Some are more complicated than that when you're dealing with machinery and other stuff and like that.
Okay, and then I guess finally, to compare it to acting, how much input do you, James, have in the stunt, or do you like, okay, I'm doing what I'm told, or do you say, hey, what about this? What about that?
No. It's totally, and safety is paramount whether you're doing stunts or acting, and there's something involved. If you have any qualms or any concerns, stunt coordinators want you to bring it up to them immediately. Too often, people didn't want to look bad in the eyes of the director or stunt coordinator or whatever, and they wound up getting hurt. They would rather you address the concern, or they address the concern, bring it up to them, okay, and then they can walk you through it. If it's something that they can readjust or something like that, it's better to readjust the camera angle than reset a broken bone.
That's it. Like we say we'll fix it in post, kind of thing. James, this has been awesome. I really, really enjoyed our talk. I really enjoyed learning a lot from you. You're a bright guy. You're a fun guy. I can just tell that you bring a lot of enthusiasm to a set. So thank you for bringing that same enthusiasm to our show and Action Casting Calls America. James Weston, thank you.
Thank you, Ricky, and hopefully I'll see you on set someday. And thank you and Bex for inviting me. And I had a great time. Anytime you want me to come back on, you just give me a holler.
Yes, sir. You got it.
All righty.
All right.
Thanks again.